These are the sprues and the parts that are included in the Airfix beach buggy kit. There's a fair bit of flash and a lot of seam work that needs to be cleaned up, but I think it's going to be a nice clean build in the end. I like the two figures. They need some seam work and that, but I like to have figures to paint, especially when it's an open top or a convertible type car. You can see them in there, so looking forward to this build. As you can see from the printing on the bottom of the chassis pan here, it said it's an Airfix product, 1971. Well, I've begun the build with the first two steps on the instructions, putting the engine parts together. It's small and finicky, but it went together well, and it's got some nice detail on it. I'll probably paint the whole thing with black primer and then some metal colors to highlight the details. Well, I did some cleanup on the figures, needed some seam work, and they cleaned up really nicely. There's a lot of detail. It should be interesting to paint, and they came out really nice. Well, I've just completed step 3. I've got the motor mounted to the drive train, I guess, and the suspension and the gear shift, battery, and emergency brake installed. Well, I've got the motor installed and the floor pan. Got all the front suspension parts and bumpers and everything put together. They just have to go on there. This part here is like some kind of a shield that goes under the motor. I'm going to paint that separately because that's going to hide the details on the motor. And I'll get that painted up first and I'll attach those. Got the under parts on the body here on, and it's coming along well. It's small, but everything fits together quite well. It's a little finicky, but it's a good build. Well, now I've got all the parts in primer. I've got Vallejo light gray primer on the figures and the seats, and on the dune buggy's body. I've just got flat black craft paint used for primer on the wheels and the chassis and the skid plate, and I'll be doing the motor and some of those parts in Stynylrez Res silver. Well, now I've airbrushed Stynylrez Res silver primer over the wheel rims and the engine guard, the engine and the suspension parts, the front steering assembly and bumper, and I've mixed up some craft acrylic coral paint with a few drops of brick red and painted the figures. Now I'll do the detail painting with a small brush. I've got the body here and Vallejo light gray primer. Well, as you can see, I've got everything painted here and ready for assembly. The tires are painted in Tamiya rubber black, and I've used Stynylrez silver primer on the rims with a black wash. I've got the two figures painted, all with craft paints. I've got the frame and the engine done. I've got the floor in dark gray, bottom in black primer, just flat black, and the engine in gunmetal and silver. And the engine guard is in silver Stynylrez. I've got the dash and the body done in Craft Smart metallic green. Thought that was a nice bright color for the body. And I've got the seats and the trunk cover done in Craft Smart vanilla. Airbrushed that on there. So I'll put a few more coats of Future over the seats and the body, and then I'll assemble these pieces and it'll be pretty much done.